likes Lumberjanes and Steven. Jess likes the girl Jimmy Olsen. And you're in luck, cause they're ahead. OmniCat! OmniDog!
Heyo, it's OmniDog, but today I'm known as Earth-2 Jess because my co-host is Earth-1 Jess. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. You know, end of summer, start of the best season of the year. Fall is coming.
Fall, yeah.
I'm ready for it. And we read something that's been on my list for a long time. So I feel very accomplished this morning is how I'm feeling.
Nice, good. I feel that way too. We're talking about Superman Warworld saga, but I also, just in case you're out there and you're not into Superman, I have a ton of other comics that I have read and we can talk about too. So this will be covering all things comics, not just Superman, but mainly Superman, but other stuff too.
It's
right?
the main course and the sides. Yeah.
Yeah, the sides are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't decided on the main course. We're going to talk about it right now. Well, I say hello. Kate, what? Max Appleman, I'm all hopped up on excitement and multivitamins.
Excellent.
Nice. Let me make my screen a little bigger so I can. There we go. And Kane's here. Javier. Booster, Booster's here. I have a question for you, Booster, because in part of this, and Booster reads all things DC, so he's like a DC advisor. Part of Warworld, Jessica and I both have different books. She has the Warworld. What is it like? How thick is that puppy? Oh, it's chunky. Okay.
Yeah. This is
it's marked up. I see.
This is the very first time I didn't take notes, and I don't think these tabs are going to save my memory at all. So, but yeah, it's actually not called a compendium, but it should be. It's just the Warworld saga. But it's about the thickness of the second milestone compendium. So I would say it counts as a compendium.
Okay. So we read this, but in different ways, because I had the books, and then I also had Superman and the Authority. But my question to Booster is, in what Jessica has, there are a couple stories, 2 or 3 stories from Future State. So I get that Future State is what it is. I haven't read, Booster, this is my question. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but it starts out with Future State, Superman and Metropolis #1. So it's a John Kent story, but it feels like it's starting right in the middle of a story. Like, I don't know what's going on from the very beginning. If I read through this, will it get explained to me? Thank you. Anybody in the chat, you can, oh, Unstoppable Bar is here. Okay, let me check it out right now. There's Bar.
Hey, Bar.
Oh, she's got pictures of the new Montoya question ongoing.
Ooh, I want to see that.
Okay, just a sec. I'll open them both up. Okay, there's one. It looks really cool. Ooh, this one looks really cool. These are like cover pics. Okay, so I've got those 2. The Future State, John Kent feels like it starts in the middle of a story. Yeah, there's a bunch of soldiers here, and they're saying, you know, Superboy, come out. He's got some big Brainiac based unit that everybody wants to get rid of. They want to capture it and destroy it or something. And Superboy ends up shrinking Metropolis to save it. And then the after stories are all about the shrinking of Metropolis. So I'm just wondering, where does this creature from Brainiac come from? And there's something else. There's another Trojan. Trojan scientists created me from the remnants of skin that you had burned from his flesh. This is the creature. Project Trojan something? What the hell? I don't know what's going on in this, and I'm trying to figure out.
What future state issue is that, Jess?
That's the first one. It's Superman and Metropolis #1.
Okay, yeah, that one I was like, that doesn't look familiar. That wasn't in mine. I
Yeah,
know I showed you what was in mine with a picture. Yeah.
right. I went by the mapping on the
Yeah.
back of your book, but I thought, oh, I'll just read Future State Superman. It's fairly chunky, but I thought
I see. Okay.
I'll just read it since I have to read. I just have to read a couple. There's only a couple of stories that I have to read for War World. It looks like a lot of them are interconnected. They have to do with Superman at the time being in War World. Yeah, that's all I read. But I still felt like I was walking in the middle of a story. Like, who's Project Trojan and who is this creature from Brainiac's skin or something? Okay, never mind.
But one last thing though on the future state. I mean, we can talk about like the mapping of the book, definitely.
Yeah,
But one last thing about the future state, particularly, I agree with Booster's comment. Like the future state ones that were in here, like I didn't feel totally out of context, but where they appeared was kind of interesting. And I went online as when I finished this because I was like, is this I still don't know. I couldn't see. Is this like release order or is this how they chose? Because some of the future state ones are basically storytelling, right? Like it's those issues where what is that guy's name? Baya? What was his name? Where he's telling stories, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there are issues that
on
are
War World.
Yeah, and then there's like the House of L stuff is very like it's related, but it feels very separate. And online, there were several different mapping orders where those issues particularly were moved the most. And so I don't actually know. I didn't feel like this was incoherent at all the way this one was mapped. But I think there are lots of different like plug and play places for the future state because they aren't necessary, but they do enhance the story, particularly if the themes of the story are the thing that you really love. I think like that's that's what I will say about the future state ones. But you told me to read Superman and the Authority. I think you said to read it after what issue?
I think it's issue 6 where they said, as in my book, this is my problem because we were reading two separate things. But I felt like if I followed Jessica's mapping on her book, I'd be okay. Because after War World, there's a part in War World Rising Part 6 in the first book where they refer to Superman, Batman, the Authority. And I read that and I thought it would be so much better if Jessica read Superman and the Authority so she could see how the team was created and how he wanted to use them. Otherwise, you're just kind of you just see the team on War World. You see the Authority team on War World.
Yeah.
So I don't want this to appear kind of nitpicky, but I feel like this would have served. I feel like it would have enriched the story had it been in what you have, because I think it's important back matter.
100% agree. I'm really glad. And I think actually I had started that years ago and then felt like, what is this connected to?
Yeah.
Turns out this, although I don't even know if it was originally planned as such. But I totally agree that if you're going to pick this up as a story, Superman and the Authority is probably even more essential, I would say, than the future state issues that are included. And we'll get into the story, but this is a saga, obviously. It's epic. There's tons of characters. And so you want to know and have familiarity with as many of them as possible. And that run where that team is coming together does feel like it would give the rest of the story, not just make it more coherent, but also make it more meaningful. Because there's a lot of individual character stories that are set up in Superman and the Authority. So that's definitely something that people should know going in is that's a definite read, I think, alongside this.
Yeah, Booster agrees with us. Let me. Bar sent me. Okay, wait. I have to share the screen. Bar sent me pictures of the new Renee Montoya question that's starting.
Okay.
So I thought that was a cool picture.
Yes.
And then, I mean, I think that's just a boss picture. Thank you, Bar. And then here's another picture. I mean, she's all strapped up with weaponry and a boss cape and stuff. So she's really leaning into it. I think this looks cool. Thank you, Bar, for sending me this.
Who is the team on that? Do you know?
I don't know. Bar, she didn't send me that information. Bar, if you're still in the chat, it's starting in November. Who is the team on that? If you could tell us.
Oh, it's a murder mystery. Sorry, I was looking it up alongside. That's
Oh,
cool.
okay.
I'm trying to find the team though. Writer Alex, I can never say the last name right. Segura?
That sounds right.
Yeah. And artist Tormi is the last name. Kia?
Mel Torme.
No.
I'm messing with you. Do you know Mel Torme? You probably don't
No.
even know who Mel Torme is. He's a singer. He wrote that song, Chestnuts Roasting on an
Oh
Open
yeah.
Fire.
A banger. Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, he wrote that.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'm excited. That's nice.
Let's see. Oh, here's Crazed. How are you, Crazed? Oh, look at that picture.
I know.
Making your Saturday. Thank you, Crazed. Javier. Oh, Studio. Okay, let me acknowledge people. Hey, Studio. Thanks for being here. Jaggernaut's here. Oh, and here's Bar's first one. Phenomenal AC is here. Thank you. Hey guys, just watched the For All Seasons and World Hunger. Don't remember the name of that one video. Keen for this one. Oh, good.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was what is the name of that one?
If
the
we did
Dini. They're talking about the Dini one. Peace on Earth, right?
Peace on Earth,
Super
yeah.
Peace on Earth, yeah.
World Hunger, yeah, I get that. Where we came up with that. Hamza, welcome. But that was part of a private discussion on Omar's AMA last night. So please don't spread that around. I'm happy to tell Jess after this what that means.
Do I want to know? Scale of 1 to 10. How much do I want to really know this, Jess? Let's.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I don't know if you want to know this. Maybe you're better off not knowing it. It's not dirty or anything. It's just kind of very weird. It has nothing to do with me.
Okay, then maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it's not me. Omar was nice enough. He had a Friday night AMA, Ask Me Anything on last night. And he was nice enough to invite me on to tell a story, which we won't talk about because that is a private story. I can also, now that one I can happily tell you afterwards.
Okay.
It's just a funny story, but he wanted me to be on because it involved me. And then I stayed on for like half an hour and had a really fun time. It was a lot of fun.
James is saying I don't want to know. I do trust James's judgment about.
Okay, I agree with
so
James on the nacho one. Yeah, there's Aria. Welcome. Yeah, but the reason he got me on the AMA, I think, is a funny story, and you'd get a kick out of it. Well, yeah. AS is here. Now, Brown Mist asks, is this all going to be in that new Omni that was just announced? Was there a War World Omni? I can't even think of a new Superman Omni that was announced. You mean the DC catalog that just got dropped a couple weeks ago? I'm struggling to think of any Superman. I know there was a Supergirl from New 52. New 52.
Yep. It's Superman by Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Omnibus 1. Oh my gosh, so many pop-ups. What I'm looking at.
Oh dear. Okay.
That's an Omni. Like, give me a second and I'll kind of look. It looks like just at a quick glance that obviously the Omni has a lot more because it's covering his run, and Superman the Authority and the Authority 1 through 4 is included, as well as Batman Superman Authority Special 1. So,
Oh, good.
yeah. Well, I don't know if this buries the lead because I did enjoy this overall, though we'll get into it. But I would definitely, I was thinking when I was like, oh, I need Superman and the Authority with this, I was like, I think I would rebuy this. I would upgrade to an Omni if it included more material for the saga. So that's really cool to hear. It's coming out in 2025, summer 2025, July.
Okay, so there's your answer,
Supposedly.
Brown Mist. And I also didn't know if you this was the issue when I won't do this again because we were reading from two different sources.
Mhm.
I didn't know how yours was mapped. If it was mapped according to what it said on the back,
Yeah.
or if that was just the contents and it was mapped that way. So I we're gonna have this. We're gonna have opinions that will be about the material, but I don't know if we read it in the exact same order.
Yeah, I'm
Go ahead.
frustratingly, DC is notorious for not putting any sort of like mapping index at the front of even some of their omnis don't have it. And that's incredibly frustrating for about 1,000 different reasons. But yeah, particularly for something like this, I think annoying. I do think, I mean, I'm making the assumption that on DC Infinite, they have the saga mapped as a story, right? Because sometimes they'll do that, which I do think is good, where it'll be a complete storyline and they'll have the digital reading order where you can just proceed through. I don't know what's included in that because I didn't take a quick look at it.
I didn't either.
Okay. I'll check that out.
Not for this. I didn't. James says the question all along the Watchtower. Good name. November 20th. Fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Have you been reading the Zatanna stuff?
The
yet?
Ripper? Oh no, the cards come tumbling down or whatever it is.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna wait for that to get collected.
Okay.
It looks cool.
I'll be eager for your thoughts when you get there.
Oh, how many issues have you read?
I think I've only read the first one. I think there might be 2 out now though. Bar, I think, is reading.
Is that something you read on the app?
Yep.
Okay, I'll follow along on the app.
Yeah. And I think it's just a limited story, so it's not like, I think it's not meant to be too many issues, so it should be pretty quick.
Well, I, for one, want more Zatanna. They need to make her as they have, if they get the right writers and artists on some of these, so to say, B-list strong female protagonists, they could become A-list. Like, I think Zatanna is interesting enough that she could be A-list. She's a lot more than just saying the words backwards.
Yeah.
I've seen her written really well, and that's the character. And same with Question. I'd like to see the Question become more prominent. And wait, I'm going to get way off track on this.
No worries. I'll get you slightly back on track and say, yes, if you're interested in reading this online, Superman War-World Saga is collected as a story. So if you search for the storyline on DC Infinite, and they have it sort of mapped out, the Prelude as The One Who Fell, World Rising. They have Superman and the Authority, as well as some complementary issues in there. Like there's a Midnighter annual that's in there.
Oh yeah,
the Arena, and then Revolution. So they also are including that's why it's so silly. If you're gonna say via how you collect it as a story on your website, you know what I mean? Superman and the Authority is essential. Why on earth are you not including it in here?
It sounds like it's mapped better on the app.
Yeah. The only thing, I mean, just again, without digging too far into it, I don't see any of the future state stuff here mapped as under how they have War-World Saga storyline.
Yeah.
So it feels like the Omni is the thing that's going to capture the most complete picture of things. But that's not a bad way to read it. Because again, I think Superman and the Authority is like the most essential out of that.
Yeah. And if you read it on the app and you decide you want to buy the Omni, you can go to Organic Price Books and use code OmniDog. Yes, what a segue. Thank you. And 5% off shipping 4 more books together. OmniDog set. There we go. Nice. Oh, also, important note. I'm going to be promoting this throughout the show. OmniCat, Kristen, the baby's about 2 weeks old. They need diapers. And please don't super chat any money because YouTube, even though they say they only take 30%, YouTube actually takes 55% of super
Whoa.
chats. People were kind enough to super chat her $100, and all I got to give her was 45 of that. And
Oh,
Omar confirmed that for me this morning that they take 55.
that
So
sucks.
if you want to help them, and you all should, because they are young parents, and I remember it well, like it was 2 seconds ago. That first month is a rough one, and so the baby registry, Kristen and Reed's baby registry, is in the description with a link. You can click on it. It takes you right to what they need. I can promise you they need diapers. You can get them books or whatever else you want, but even $10 worth of something will help them. This is the most important thing you can do in the world, in my opinion, is raise another human. Well, I don't want to say that.
It's
I don't
important.
know. It's an important
It's
job.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. You're in charge of another human being's upbringing, so you want to get them good diapers, right? You don't want formaldehyde in their diapers, which apparently that's what I gave my kid. So I'm a bad parent. I didn't even know it. So
I
please,
mean,
I will repeat it again in half an hour or so, but please go down to the description box, click on the link, and just give till it hurts, as they say. Give with your heart.
there's a very interesting baby character in this very book, so that'll be a
Oh
nice.
yeah,
Whenever we get there, we'll we'll know to plug it again.
that's right. I read World War Sagas came out in singles. It was so epic. I'd say it's my favorite in continuity Superman.
Wow. Well, in continuity does like limit things, and when you and I have been making lists, like the self-contained stuff is the stuff that shoots to the top most often. So there is something to be said about having a big sweeping story that's in canon, right? That's in continuity
Yeah.
and is like complete in many ways. So yeah, it's a
So
good, it's a good
so
point.
Booster, are you saying you like this better than Tomasi and Gleason's Rebirth Superman? Because I think that's a big statement. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I've always felt that was the strongest Superman I've read in a while. You, of course, are entitled to your own opinion. And I'm glad that this, as the youth say, hit so well with you, or hit hard, or however whatever. And this is in reference to Mel Torme. Jessica, you don't know who it is. Yeah. His nickname was the Velvet Fog. Yeah, that's right. He was
Oh, that's kind of
yeah,
badass though. I sort of love that. Okay,
yeah, the
Mel
Velvet
Torme.
Fog. You can, I mean, the Christmas song, but
Yeah.
he besides Tony Bennett, he does an awesome version of I Left My Heart in San Francisco, and
Ooh.
has a whole catalog. His voice, he actually doesn't like the nickname Velvet Fog. I don't know if
Mhm.
Mel Torme is still with us. He'd be about 98 if he was. But I always thought, and he'd hate this nickname, that his voice sounded like a butterscotch cigarette. It was like really low and smooth and rough,
Mhm.
and but a little bit rough, but I don't know. He was very smooth. His
Oh.
vocals were really awesome. Sorry I'm late. Oh, Alon, the lobster
Ooh.
hybrid. I'm making tea the old-fashioned way, so it may take some time to boil.
Ilan, are you one of these Europeans who's disgusted by the idea of Americans who microwave their water for tea? I always see people going on to Twitter, fake Twitter feuds with Gail Simone. It's like a running gag that she microwaved her water for tea, and they're all up in her DMs. So
Oh, it's a real thing. I remember when I was in the Facebook group where I met Kristen and everybody else that I know, Riley's Facebook group, Sherlock from Australia, he he wrote something on a Saturday saying, "Is it true Americans don't all have kettles in their house? How do you
mm,
make tea?" And he's posted a video of his boiling, with his kettle. He plugged it in, turned it on, made tea. And so I
Bless.
made a rebuttal video where I nuked the water and then I dumped it out and I said, we don't drink tea, we drink coffee. And that was a popular video.
That's true.
But he's still Sherlock's in IT, so he travels for the Embassy of Australia. So he
cool.
travels all over the world for IT work, and
Mhm.
he's learned that he needs to always bring a kettle with him when he comes to America because hotel rooms don't have them.
We had like a tea kettle when I was younger. That was for like a stovetop tea kettle that was a cow and it mooed when it was done. I really loved that. But now
Cool.
I use an electric kettle. But I use a French press. So I do drink coffee. I'm not really a huge tea person. So I use the electric kettle and then a French press for my coffee.
You use the electric kettle for your hot water for your French press.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm cultured,
Yeah, you are. Wow, fancy.
I don't shade the microwaving water people. Live your life. This is America.
Oh, maybe. Oh, no. James was saying you don't about the nacho thing. That wasn't Mel Torme.
Yes,
Got it. No problem, Hamza. I think it's funny. No worries. Alana, I also have a confession. I still have not read Secret Identity. Whoa. How many Hail Marys must I do, Jess? You need to do Hail OmniDog and Hail Jessica. You need to do 10 Hail OmniDogs and 10 Hail Jessicas. You're only hurting yourself, Elon, by not reading Secret Identity.
The teeth await you.
Okay, so we answered the question. Here's Hondo. Happy Saturday, Infinite Jesses. Welcome, Hondo.
Hello.
I don't think any of these have page numbers, but they're Omnis. They've been doing better on page numbers and really good table of contents. I have noticed that.
Yeah, for Omnis, you mean?
Yeah.
I agree. But it's just like, it's the bare minimum that you can do. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just annoying. It's such a simple thing.
Yeah, I feel like with the latest announcement, it seems like they're more on the ball now, at least with the announcements. I talked to Omar a lot, and he said that for as big a company as they are, Omar is in a position to, help DC a lot. If they want to use him like Marvel uses him, he could help DC a lot. He gets hardly any communication back from them. He doesn't know if that Red Lanterns Omni was because he sent in to his person a list of the top 20 Omnis and Red Lanterns might have been on it. And he says he gets more communication from, I think, Vault Comics, has like one person running the company, and he gets way more email from that person. Are we talking about Gotham City Sirens? We can. I haven't read it yet. Is it fun? It's fun. Okay, good. Yeah, don't pick up the compendium if the Omni is going to come out. And it sounds like Jessica said it's mapped a lot better.
Honestly, though, if you're eager, I mean, summer 2025 is like a whole year from now. And I will say, I got this for like $28 and it's 700 something pages. And that's actually a pretty great deal. So you could also get it and then gift it later on and upgrade,
Yeah,
it's up to you, but it's actually a pretty nice addition, even though I personally will probably upgrade. I also love the cover of the Omni.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Yeah. These are gonna be in a future giveaway like next summer because I would definitely want to read this properly mapped and really interesting. Jess, where is the future state stuff in the saga book? That would be Earth-1, Jess.
Yeah. The House of L stuff is at the end. It's like the last thing. And then what is the other future state? I'll take a look and come back to this answer.
Okay. Because I want to acknowledge Bob in the chat because she and her family have adopted a barn cat that was
Oh.
like that big, and they found it in their barn. The mom had abandoned it and they didn't know what to do with it. So out of the kindness and love in their hearts, they have been nursing this little kitten back to health and have, I think its name is Mabry. But Bob, peace and love to you. That is such an awesome thing that you're doing, raising that little sweetheart. I'm so pleased and kind of proud of you that you did that. I don't know you, but I'm proud of you. Just seeing that in my Discord is awesome.
That's great.
Jess, you would love watching JLU. The question plays a major part of it. Okay, awesome. League of Comic Geeks. Go ahead.
Where are you in your animated journey?
I just finished Batman the Animated Series after 5 years.
You're done.
Done. Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
I'm really proud of you. That's been like a thing, a journey.
Yeah. It's been like the sword of Damocles hanging over my head.
A whole kid was born and went to kindergarten as you were doing that. I mean, that's like, way to go. You never gave up. What's the Greek mythology guy that like pushed the rock up the hill very slowly? That's you in this show. That's awesome. All right. Way to go.
That is a hilarious analogy. Yeah. So I'll have the minister back on in September on Batterdays because he's the one that kicked that off. I have watched all of Suicide Squad Isekai, which is really good. I don't know if we've talked, if you're much of an anime fan. Are you?
No. I mean, here and there, although I'm really hyped for, I think I talked to you about, I love Witch Hat Atelier, the manga, and there is an anime of that coming out within a year or so, or yeah, maybe this year. Maddie sent me the link. I can't remember the exact date, and I'm very excited. And you will love that once it comes out, I think.
I think that I will. By the way, you can talk about manga whenever you want. I'm not anti-manga.
No, I'm not like a manga stan or anything. I just like I was kind of like it was just hard for me to read. Like it just didn't come naturally to me, and stuff about the style of it sometimes didn't appeal to me, but year before this one I did start reading a little bit more. So it's not like it's not in the top 10 or anything like that of genres, but it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm glad that you're happy with it.
Yeah.
Wait, what's happening here? Oh, the chat is I'm having trouble following the chat. Oh. What's up with the question not having a face? That's how she protects her identity. It's like a thing that comes up over her face. Like this is my action figure Vic Sage as the question, and you see that's what protects their identity. And it's breathable and seeable and everything elseable.
But what you should have said, Jess, was that's the question. And you should read to find out the answer.
Damn. You're full of good things today. I should just have you read the show. I'm not good thinking on my feet. Wow. Oh, Super Laugh Hard. Peace and love. Good to have you here. What? Oh, okay. Okay. Lord Humongous is the cat. DH McAdams is, he has like, how many dogs and cats do you have now that you've rescued? You rescued Doug. 30 dogs and 10 cats. He's got a whole thing built to take care of these animals, and that is the Lord's work. I think that's amazing. Awesome. Velvet Fog sounds like a DC Vertigo villain. Where are you from, Brown Mist? No, I don't. It's not a thing in America to have kettles. I mean, Jessica has a kettle for her coffee, but yeah, I run hot water through my Keurig to make my tea. I drink tea in the afternoon generally, but no, we do not. Where are you from, Brown Mist? You must be from Great Britain or Australia. Hey, here's Mary M. What up, Mary M?
Hey, Mary.
Make tea, not war, unless you use a microwave. Okay, sorry.
I'd say like I think a lot of older people like still do use a kettle. Like people who weren't really using microwaves most of their life, who drink tea. But the thing, you're right. The thing is, we don't drink as much tea. We're
Yeah.
coffee society.
Yeah, we're caffeinated and annoying. Javier says, I've never read any Superman, so I'm going to buy All-Star Superman, the compact edition. Excellent choice.
Wow. That'll be an interesting one for you to start with. Report back your experience with All-Star being your first. I am still flipping through to try to find the other future state location booster.
Oh, no worries. I'll take questions here. Kane drinks tea and coffee, not at the same time. I boil my water in a pot because I don't have a kettle. Coffee is through the Keurig machine at work. Tea is at home. Booster, the reason I like it more than Tomasi Run is because Superman is mostly, unpowered through this. Hope is the lesson I took away from this one. I was half awaiting for a Blue Lantern ring to arrive. That's a good point. That would have been boss. Omar in the streams with you guys must make Marvel a significant amount of money. Surely someone at DC must be bringing that up. I don't know. Well, Omar is Marvel / Disney's YouTube guy. He's their official representative. So what he says and what fans say to him, Marvel listens to, for real. Maybri. She is named after a doctor that basically saved my life 3 weeks ago. It's been tumultuous over at our house, but Maybri is doing great. Bob, I'm shocked, but I'm genuinely glad the doctor saved your life. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tomasi Ren really liked the first half. I still think about issue number 7 to this day. But after Superman Reborn, I thought it was a steep drop off. Still bought the Omni though. I kept my deluxes.
It did have a little bit of a drop off. As a complete run, that's the thing. Like, this is a storyline, right? Like, this is a saga, it's a storyline. And so it's kind of like apples to oranges to say, oh, this complete run. Because, I mean, maybe the other Philip Kennedy Johnson. Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is a storyline. And within the run for Tomasi, there are individual storylines. That would be a better, probably, comparison.
Yeah, so I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong to bring that up because to compare it to. You're right. There, I can admit when I'm wrong because it is a storyline. So, okay, good. You can talk about manga and Jess and Gio's Discord. Here's James with the Discord links.
James is always trying to get me to use more apps. Like, I'm not an apps girl. It's too many apps. It's too many.
Too many. Batman Brave and Bold cartoon, if you haven't watched it yet. I have watched about 8 of them, and I love them. They're hilarious. I love Dieter Batrix, if that's the way am I saying his name right. I love him as Batman. That might be a good choice for me. I need to get caught up on Kite Man. Hell yeah, too.
Oh yeah, I want to start that. I'm excited.
Yeah, it is really good. I've seen the first 2, and it's got like characters from Hitman by Garth Ennis in it, but you don't have to know them to be entertained. And it's the same format as Harley Quinn, the current Harley Quinn. So it's
nice.
It's just as good so far as Harley Quinn.
Awesome.
Don't miss out on Superman the Animated Series. I own it. It's great and has a Batman, Superman, World's Finest arc with Harley. Uh-oh. You've got your hooks in me.
Is that on your list? Like, how far is the Superman the Animated Series on your list? That's a great Lois Lane, too. That's one of my favorite Lois Lanes.
Oh, good. Well, part of me was thinking I wanted to watch Batman Beyond next because it kind of comes after the animated series. But I also really enjoyed I love the 3rd season the most in the Batman the Animated Series, and I want to see more of Kara as Supergirl. So I I might go to Superman the animated series.
Okay.
But I don't. I also there's so much. I do actually own physically a lot of the animated universe of DC.
Mm-hmm.
Or to Jess, longtime follower, Debutic 617. Welcome, but I don't chat much. Wanted to thank you for your love of old school DC and your overall passion for the medium. Much respect. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Brown Mrs. from Australia. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, dude. It's not a way of life here as it is in the across the pond or on the other side of the world as you are. Here's La Raza. Welcome. Currently 32 dogs and 12 cats. I'm an equal opportunity idiot, LOL.
Whoa.
I'm in the UK and a kettle is essential. I bet it is. I bet it is. We make coffee with kettles too. I'm intrigued by your coffee pots and how they work. Well, fancy Jess uses it for her French press, her kettle water.
I think the answer to where the other future state is, although I've been flipping through and not seeing the actual issue name appear on any page, so now I'm like questioning my sanity. It is Future State, Superman, Worlds of War 1 through 2. I actually think it might appear before Revolution, Superman War World Revolution, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I've been flipping through.
Thank you for your service.
I don't think that's right, though.
I should just go ahead and read Future State as it is and see what it's like. It doesn't seem. I mean, I know I read the story for it, but I don't. Yeah, no, I'm not going to flip through this and find it either. William Lee uses a kettle every day. Okay. And William Lee lives in the U.S. I think you do, right, William? Yeah. La Raza is drinking tea right now. I am drinking club soda with cranberry juice.
Your staple. I have coffee.
Nice. Tea is compulsory in the UK. Decaffeinated tea is bad for the environment, by the way. I don't understand.
Is that true, or is that like a joke because you hate decaf? Because we also aren't decaf people here usually.
He may be telling the truth. First of all, I don't understand why anybody would drink decaffeinated anything. I mean, just have a glass of water if you want. But I mean, decaf tea sounds very uninteresting to me. Peace and love to anybody that has to drink decaf tea because they can't stand the caffeine. But I mean, that's the fun part of coffee is the caffeine.
Some herbal, like I have some herbal teas for when I'm sick, and they're decaffeinated. Some of them, so maybe they don't mean like black tea or
that's a good point. Like orange pico or whatever.
Yeah, those kinds of things.
Or honey ginger when you're sick. Yeah. So first of all, how do they take the caffeine out of coffee and tea? You don't have to Google it and tell me. I'm just saying that's crazy to me that they can take coffee and somehow extract the caffeine from it.
It's probably a lie. Anyone who drinks it will probably, it's going to cause cancer in like 5 years. You know, this is how it goes.
It sounds like sorcery to me. Kryptonite Kid uses an electric jug kettle.
An electric kettle. Yeah, that's what I use too.
An electric jug kettle.
Yeah, you know what it is? It has like the little base and you press the button. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Mabry. Okay. Mabry, not May. Did I say Maybry? Did I say brie cheese like brie cheese? That's hilarious. Sorry, I'm terrible at explaining your name. No, you did. Like maybe with an R in the middle, basically. Wait, Marbry? Mabry? Well, the point is you're alive and you saved another little precious creature's life. So you get major bonus points for all of that. I mean, I'm making tea in a cast iron kettle that's over 100 years old. It tastes so much better. I have nothing against microwave water, but every sip is a disappointment. 100-year-old cast iron kettle. Is that passed down
Wow.
from your family or what?
That's cool.
Cycles here. Yeah, we have kitten updates. I just asked Bob for a kitten update
Aw.
earlier this morning. No, you didn't. Harvey comes in here and all he wants to talk about is his the thing he's passionate about. Well,
I
which
think
is
this
fair.
has been a request multiple times, so
Yeah, we may have to cover
yeah.
this. Let's see. Oh, this is so weird. You got all 24 volumes of Crossed. I have no idea why you want to read that. I bailed after 2 volumes. I do wish you luck. I hope that you survive it. That is a super twisted book that I am not recommending to anyone. My favorite Lois is Erica Durant's in Smallville. I never saw it. She was so great.
That's my favorite live action Lois. I would agree with that. But I think the animated one is like how I see her most. Although they're two different eras, because Erica Drancey's character is like young adult at for most of the series, starting out, whereas like the Lois in the animated series is in her career prime.
Planet 628 flexing. In Europe, a French press is called a coffee pot. It's only fancy in America. Nice.
It's not really fancy here, but some people think it is. Like people who've only used like a instant. What are they called? They're not called instant pots. What are they called? Like a regular coffee pot.
Percolator?
Drip. That's what I'm thinking. Drip coffee.
Yeah. Drip.
Drip.
I think French press is the best way to enjoy coffee.
I think so too.
It's delightful. Leave a Comic Geek says the 4 future state issues are at the end of the saga book.
Thankfully, somebody. Yeah, I know for sure the House of L stuff was, but then when I was flipping through, I was having trouble clearly seeing what the name of the issue was on the page. That makes sense though. Because this is a question for Booster, I think. The Worlds of War, is that the stuff with Mr. Miracle? If so, that is also at the end. Yes.
Okay. There's a lot of Mr. Miracle in this future state book.
Yes. Okay, then yes, that is also at the very end. Yes.
And there's also Black Racer, which I think is going to be important when we talk about it. I haven't read this story, but I know why I think it's important, and it'll come up when we discuss it. The process of removing the caffeine is what's bad for the planet. Not sure why, though. Maybe it involves chemicals.
Probably so. Well, you don't have to worry about me. I support caffeine.
We are big.
I'm a climate activist by drinking my coffee every morning.
We're watching you all around the world where you are talking alone at home. Decaffeinated tea
Fair
seems
point.
like magic to you. Fair point, but still, I can't decaffeinate tea, but I can do this. That is a good point, though, Marcelo. We're not so fancy here with coffee. A regular black coffee at a shop is called a long black. That's cool. Oi, mate, can I have a long black? Be right with you. No, I just lapsed into Cockney. Sorry. God,
were you doing a Manchester? No.
Manchester Black? Yeah. AeroPress is great as a coffee maker, especially for a quick fix, and flavor is fabulous.
Okay.
I got the whole collection for a great price. I can sell it and make a profit, and I don't dig it. I predict you will sell it and make a profit.
Dang.
So we'll let's talk about what our thoughts are on Warworld and Superman and the Authority, which I suggested you read, and I'm glad I did, because I don't think it sounds like you weren't you hadn't clued in to the fact that you actually needed it.
No, not at all. I mean,
Yeah.
when you messaged me that, I think you said read it either after 5, before 6, or after 6, either way. I was like I had been on issue 4. So that was actually great timing. And like I said, I think I had read parts of it when it was coming out. I'm certainly familiar with several of the characters that are in there, but it would not have truly the rest of the story would not have carried as much weight as it did without having read that. So yeah, I think that was a good call for sure.
I'm glad. And this, if anybody is wondering on the Grant Morrison accessibility scale, this is a 10, being very accessible, as opposed to the filth being a 1. So
Yeah, it's accessible, but it's not a standalone thing at all. Like it would almost seem to be it's totally a book that's like to me it seems to be like to set up a chessboard or to be a
right.
transition piece. It's certainly not like a enjoyable standalone story. So definitely like read both of these. I wouldn't read either in isolation from one another.
Good point. I was told that you needed to read it between volume 1 and volume 2, which was after I read this by itself, and I got nothing out of it. Then I read it in conjunction, like where I told you to read it, and
Yeah.
it made a heck of a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And I so what did you think of? Oh, and I think I told you to read. This isn't included in War World either. I told you to read on the DC app the 2-issue story where he gets depowered.
Oh yeah. I think that's less essential, but that was also something that I wonder if that will be included in the Omni because it's definitely like relevant. Yeah.
Because he does go to War World. War World also has a core. At the core of War World is where Mongol Junior is in charge. He killed his father, Mongol Senior, and he took over. And basically, it's a slave planet where they are. He's captured a large number of races of people from different planets to simply engage in gladiatorial fighting.
Yeah.
And the core of the planet is made up of red suns, or red sun material. So Superman, not only does he go into this with lesser powers, he's without powers on War World, which I thought was I like that touch because, and I can see why Booster enjoys it that way, because Superman has to learn a new way of fighting,
Mm-hmm.
because he goes there um, to set the people free, right?
Mm-hmm.
And John, via the Bendis run, John, his son, has seen that his father's story ends at War World. So
In the
John
future,
is
he sees that. Yeah.
in the future. So he's all flipped out. John is flipped out. He's a flipped out teenager.
He really was teenagering hard in this book.
I would say, okay, so why don't you elaborate on that? Because you did text me that, and in his own
Yeah.
book, he's pretty level-headed, but still a teenager. But
Yeah, I love the Tom Taylor. I was a fan. I understand people's rational criticisms of this book, and then I ignore people's hateful
yeah,
criticisms of this book.
yeah,
But he is certainly a teenager in that, but he's not annoying. Like to me, I didn't find him to be annoying. In this, it felt like he hardly ever had a moment where he was a bit level-headed and like mature, zooming back past his own feelings. But like I definitely can sympathize with him thinking this is the end of his dad. Absolutely. So I felt like he was like slightly out of character. that being said, there are like a million characters in this book, and so you only get a limited amount of time, even with John, who's plays a decent role comparatively to some of the others. And so if you have a limited sample size, I could see where like maybe I'm being overly harsh with what we have. But I found him to be a bit annoying, and I've never found him to be an annoying character previously, despite having read him in quite a bit.
Yeah, and I texted you that I thought that it was because he was stressed because
Yeah, sure.
his dad wasn't coming back. But I understand that. But that's a good point. When they get to War World, Superman and the Authority. First of all, the Authority, there's a lot of
You're like zoom
characters to
back.
keep track of.
One more thing about the actual War World, though, for painting the story for people.
Okay, good.
So yes, what was the word used? Gladiatorial
Gladiatorial
They're like,
combat.
yeah, I never even heard of that, but that's totally correct. The they also don't really understand that they are enslaved, and when they win a battle, I thought this was like very cool as like a metaphor. When they win a battle, they get the chains of the person who was defeated, and so in winning you become more chained, which I thought was like so interesting as like a device. I've never seen anything like that. And it felt very like, yeah, it felt very useful for a metaphor for however you want to see like war world, which I thought was interesting. But at the very beginning of this story, they do have a young woman that's come from this planet, and that's kind of partly what I think kicks off everything, because she's hell-bent on killing Superman as well.
She was sent by Mongol to do that,
Yes.
and he's monitoring her. That's right. Yeah, you're right. They are raised as fighting slaves, worshiping Mongol.
Yeah.
Is that a fair way to say it? Let me highlight
Yes,
that there.
Mongol's like their hero for sure. And the setup for Mongol as a threat, I thought was super badass. At the very beginning, you have people like bringing him offerings, and one of the offerings is like the heads of all his kids to symbolize like there's no one who could usurp you, because that's the whole thing with the Mongol character, right? Like they keep killing each other and usurping. And that's like a pretty badass entry for like a high stakes character. That was early on. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So there are a lot of characters, because not only are there characters on Warworld, but there's the United Planets characters. There's some scenes with like a conference table, but there's one main person on a planet. And actually, now that I think about it, well, I can't say that without giving it away, but regarding one of those,
this is what you're talking about, right? Where they're having the council meeting about what to do.
Yeah. And then the head council guy, whatever his name was, that dude.
Yeah.
Bye, Super Laugh Hard. Thank you for being here. And hello to Chris Brogan. And hello to Tevya. Welcome. Oh, look at that. Nice Superman avatar.
Oh, that's cute.
There's an extra layer that gets added with that planet where I'm not doing a good job because I can't remember it's
so hard. There are so many characters.
It's planet Bristolplex or whatever, and I can't.
Yeah.
I think it happens in the second book where he visits. It's in the second book where he visits the planet because of what he's. I think it's in the second book.
It's a good question. Brown Mist asks, is that pink guy the same in the current Green Lantern run? I'm not sure. That's a good question, though, if someone knows in the chat. Do you know, Jess?
Oh, what you just showed?
Yeah.
I think that's Tomar Ree that you're thinking of in the GL run. That's a different. I don't think they're. I don't know that it's the fish guy face. Tomar Ree has the fish guy face, and he's pink. I don't I don't know that they're from the same planet, but it's a planet that Superman has a past relationship with one of the leaders, and that helps also further kick off the story, because that's like a secondary story that's going on in it. His
Basically,
defense.
like if they were to intervene in War World because they see that they see Superman. Well, we're a little out of storyline, but they see that some bad will come to him without being too specific. And so they are like discussing what to do. But basically, if they were to intervene, they're putting their own planets at risk because, as Jess said, like the Mongols like just going around adding communities to War World and enslaving them. And so
Whole
they're
races of people from planets.
yeah. And this is an interesting setup. As we said, the people don't necessarily realize they're enslaved, or they don't think there's a problem with it. And Superman's going in with the authority to try to free them. So there are people who don't even want to be freed. And then there's other planets who think that the best way to help everyone is just not to do anything. And so it's a really interesting like setup as far as traditional, storylines or how a hero would normally intervene. It can't really be done in this book. Interesting.
Yeah. I think that he goes I think it's in the first book where he goes to that planet with the fish looking guy, and that might be where Tomari is from. I think that's the first book is where he goes to the other planet, but I'm also not picking up. I didn't put as many tabs in
It didn't help.
as Jessica did, because he goes to that planet to ask for help, but also hears something that clues him into something else. It's a secondary story, but it's important to the rest of the story. It's a storyline that is made whole in the end. It's like the Durlan leader of the United Planets is the same leader from the current GL. Okay, good. Thank you. Booster's up on it.
Mm-hmm.
So is Tomar Reed Durlan? He's not the leader. Durlan. Okay. The same leader from the current GL. Okay, thanks. Booster's up on his DC,
For
whereas
sure.
I am behind. I'm going to catch up with this Superman, but thank you, Booster. So that Durlan story is like secondary, but it helps tie in at the end. It's a plot line that ties in at the end.
But earlier, Jess, you wanted to talk about the Authority, I think. I cut you off because I was wanting to make sure we understood like how the story kicked off. But were you wanting to talk about Superman and the Authority and how that came together?
Oh, okay, sure. Superman knows that he can't go to Warworld alone, and he needs a super team of his own. And so, first of all, the art in this book by Mikel Janin is just as phenomenal as his art always is.
Yeah.
And he goes to put together his own kind of super team, and what he has to go through to get all of these people together. Some of them are known good guys like Midnighter and Apollo. Some of them are bad guys like Manchester Black, who has never done anything but selfish things. Enchantress is one of them. There's a couple new characters, I think. Laya, like the solar, the woman.
Laya Light Ray. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's Light Ray.
OMAC is another. I think OMAC was one of the ones I definitely was not familiar with prior.
I wasn't. And OMAC is the boyfriend to Light Ray's female character, correct?
Oh, were they dating? Did I miss that?
Yeah, OMAC would do anything for Leah. She gets taken off the board early, and he goes crazy because of it.
She does. And one of my favorite super fam underrated characters, Natasha Irons. I always really love when she shows up. She had a decent role in the Steelworks the recent Steelworks like 5-6 issue mini thing. But I was excited that she played a significant role
She did.
post the Authority too. So that was nice for me because I really like her and I think she's a little underutilized.
Yeah. This is a good point from Planet 628. There's a good amount of world building in War World, which makes the book a whole lot better than you'd expect. The stuff
Yeah.
with Midnighter, I love Midnighter, especially in the original Authority book. He was written so well, and if he's written properly, he is awesome. And I think Philip Kennedy Johnson did a really good job with him, because Midnighter can be a very complex, interesting, and funny character. So
yeah, I like when people were like comparing him. He was offended by the comparisons to Superman or Batman.
Yeah,
Batman.
he didn't like being compared to Batman at all. Let's see. There was I'm trying to think who else was in the Authority. Oh.
There's Midnighter, Apollo, Enchantress, Manchester Black, Light Ray, Natasha Irons, OMAC.
That might be it.
I think that was it. Yeah.
Manchester Black. Yeah, that looks like it. And what they had to go through to get Enchantress, I thought that was interesting. How they had she's, got dual personalities, and they had to extract her and smush her back into a whole person.
Yeah, that was cool.
But the art is just so great in this, and it just informs the rest of the run so well. I just don't see how if they include it in the Omnibus, then I think the Omnibus is going to be pretty close to perfect. This was the only thing missing from I think your reading experience.
Yep.
Chris, I'm going to get to your question in just a sec, because I'm having trouble collecting my thoughts right now, because there's actually so much world building going on.
There are precisely 80,000 plots going on in this book, and about 1 million other characters. But to bridge off of what you said about the Authority, that's the team, and I think anyone who reads this is going to get more on a second or third or fourth read, especially. Like, there's just about 1 million things going on. But as far as character motivations for characters that you should focus on, those probably all come from Superman and the Authority, and of course Superman himself. And so to keep you grounded, where there are, like, for example, that planetary council meeting you were talking about is like definitely relevant, but you don't have to know who all those people are or their motivations to get something from the story. Whereas I think if you're going to follow anyone, it's going to be this team, you know what I mean? And so I do think that book is so critical. And what would be cool is like rereading this, focusing, even just picking out like just Midnighter or whatever, and sort of viewing it as his story going through. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think because there's just so much going on, and characters disappear from what we're seeing for a while. Manchester Black gets captured at one point. We don't even see him for like, I didn't even realize he was gone for like 10 issues. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Same with Apollo. Same with Apollo, and same from Enchantress.
Yeah, but then they have this like tie up, for that character. So the characters that I think are gonna be carrying weight story wise definitely come from that lineup for sure. So I definitely think that's critical, and it keeps you grounded throughout the rest of the story, which is quite big.
And so you mentioned how big it was with the 80,000 plots. And Chris asks, is this book okay for a new Superman reader? I don't know about that. That is a really good question. It does a lot of world building. Reading Superman and the Authority tells you who those characters are. Superman has a whole history with Mongol Senior that goes back to the 80s at least. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think somebody could pick this up in omnibus format and enjoy it? Is there?
It's
I
not
mean,
it's not new reader in general friendly. Absolutely not. I would never hand this book to someone who doesn't read a ton of comics. I think you could get by if you knew DC basics. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I do think that you could. And if you like space sagas, that's probably critical. Like if you were someone who had a working decent DC knowledge and you like space sagas, and even though you're not a Superman fan, you're like, oh, this gladiator in space thing really appeals to me. I think you'd probably be fine. I don't think you need to be like a Superman expert or anything like that, but it's not, I wouldn't recommend it top of list for somebody like that, even. You know what I mean?
for their first Superman book?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
where Superman is the main character.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would. This is not. I think Jess and I could probably list 10 other books that we think are better for somebody to start with Superman. And this does require a lot of back knowledge, I feel like. Fortress of Solitude, Lois Lane. Those are kind of basics that you understand. But when the girl comes through the transport into the Fortress of Solitude to hunt down Superman sent by Mongol, that's another whole element there of
It's
who she is, what race she is, and how that ties in to that race existing on Warworld, and how that's going to inform future Superman stories.
true.
Because I have a feeling, I haven't read Kal-El Returns yet, but I have a feeling that Philip Kennedy Johnson didn't introduce that particular set of beings in there to just drop them. I think they're going to be, I would assume they're going to be a major player in some upcoming stories.
Sure.
So I'm not sure, Chris, if I'd recommend this for a new read. There's a bunch of other books we can recommend for a new. Yeah, sure, of course. That's why we're here. We want to steer you in the right direction.
I will say one thing though, I don't read much Marvel. If I do, it's like solo characters with very limited runs for the most part. And one of my first Marvel books I ever read was Annihilation, Conquest, or whatever.
Whoa,
I
really?
know, and I loved it. So I mean, it kind of like, I still wouldn't recommend this as like the top, but I will say if your brain is like a comic book brain, which yours is, obviously, Chris, you, I mean, there were so many things even in here. I was like, yeah, okay, that happened, like it, but you have to have that attitude, and you also have to have just general like sense of, working, just basic working knowledge. But I was able to follow most of Annihilation, Conquest, and that was one of the first non-solo Marvel books I ever read. So it's possible, yeah.
Those are the two books I really liked, and then I got
Oh, I love them.
stuck in on that third one, whatever it was, War of Kings. I can't even
Oh,
remember
yeah, I
what.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I Darkhawk is the one that broke me in that whole thing. It's the third book in the middle of it. This Darkhawk tangent just wrecked the whole thing for me, and I stopped reading. And that was back when all those books were out of print, and it was a big deal for me to even have the
Yeah.
5 Omnis. And I was like, okay, somebody else take these off my hands. I have lost interest. But I especially loved Annihilation Conquest. I
I
really
agree.
loved that book.
I think it's one of my favorite Marvel stories. Like, it's probably top 5 Marvel stories, yeah, of all time.
Yeah, it's really good. Oh, Max agrees. Annihilation Conquest is rad. Ricardo Federici's art makes the book look like Savage Sword of Conan, which is awesome. Yeah, huge shout out to the art in this book. Federici, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that obviously there's tons of artist changes, and I don't think a single one is bad. I think, or even weak, I wouldn't say. You know, some
Right.
shine more than others. There was also like really interesting in the did you notice what is the name of the issue? Uh the one with the I can never say the All Ghouls, the Empire of
Oh.
Shadows.
Oh yeah.
When they change the world they're in, and then the art changes mid-issue, do you remember? Like when Batman
Yeah.
and them go in.
Oh, was that Batman in the Superman Batman in the Authority one? Yeah.
Yeah, they go in and the art style changes to be here they are. Here it is. I can
I
show it.
read that on the app, so I don't have it with me. So I'll
So,
let you show it.
yeah, this is
This
like
is
the
a cool
same.
story.
So it's like within there, this is our characters that are going to go into the what is the name of the actual world? Well, the Empire of Shadows or what have you. So they start here, this is the art, and then inside the same issue, it goes to, so those same characters here, you can see them drawn, the style that we had been following every time we were in the Empire of Shadows world, which I just thought was really cool, especially this cowl of Batman I thought was really neat.
And they because it was a different dimension and
Yes.
they felt weird. They felt differently.
Yeah.
And they were drawn that way. Yeah, that's right. I read that on the app, and that's a key issue. That's a very interesting subplot to it. I'm glad I had forgotten to bring my iPad down, but that's how kind of piecemeal my reading experience
Yeah.
was compared to yours.
Yeah, that was rad. That really, as an art like choice, I thought that was just really smart.
Yeah, I thought it
Cool,
was
very
cool
impressive.
too. Yeah, who was the main artist on?
I
Did they
am
say who the artist was?
I'm flipping back to see. If I only there was an index, you know what I mean? All right. Okay, we have so there are different artists obviously for Shadow Earth versus Earth-0. So Trevor Harsine or Harsine, Jonathan Glapion, Scott Hanna, and Rain Barreto were the Earth-0. So that was like how we were following them kind of in our world. And then the Shadow Earth was Ben Templesmith.
Oh
It was
yeah, okay.
it was very cool. Have you ever read Heathen before?
Yeah, I love Heathen.
Yeah, the art styles kind of were similar to each other in that way. This was
Yeah,
obviously different, especially color wise, but that was really cool.
and that I liked that story a lot because this was a different Earth in a different dimension, where the Al Ghul family has completely taken over the Earth, but to further their gains in planetary conquering, everything runs through Earth-0, which is where our characters are normally are. Earth-0 is where it says Earth-0, even though it means Earth-1. For some reason, they're calling it Earth-0 now. But this is maybe your name's outdated. Maybe you're Earth-0, Jess.
I feel like that's a sad name, though.
Yeah, that is. We'll keep it how it is. But that whole this is a good point, Booster. Don't forget the Empire of Shadow plot for later stuff, because it does come in later, and it all has to do kind of like in Marvel's Earth-616 versus the Ultimate Earth. Earth-616 is the prime Earth, and so Earth-0 is the prime Earth in DC, where everything that we normally read in continuity happens. Earth-0 is home to the best Superman story. Bunk in the chat. Welcome, buddy.
Hey.
Elaborate. Here's some love for you. I like when Earth-1 Jess is on. Does she have her own channel?
Thank you. I do not know. Maybe one day in life.
I would like to have her on as a more frequent guest. I'm going to try and do negotiations after this and see what her demands are. We'll see if they can be met.
We'll see. Definitely in winter, I'm more available for sure.
Oh, good, because I heard winter's coming up in just a couple months.
Just a couple months, yeah.
Yeah. Winter starts, I think, September 1st.
I don't think that that's quite right.
Earth Zero's secret identity, right? That the one that's supposed to be our Earth, yeah. And that is one of my all-time favorite stories. You're right, Bunk. I think both Jess and I love that story.
For sure, yeah.
So where are we in this
So Superman and the Authority. Well,
multi-hour?
yeah, no, we were talking about how all the art rules. There's not really any bad art. Really
Which,
smart art choices.
which is important because you don't want an issue or two to take you out of the story. You want
Yeah.
continuity in that art.
And the art,
Go ahead.
the art plays. Yeah, no, go ahead. As you were saying, like the art style for the issues play to the vibe, like where you're supposed to be. So it really plays to the strengths of whatever's happening in that issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, Superman and the Authority go there. They get captured. You already kind of mentioned the continued depowering of Superman. He gets real beefcakey throughout the course of this book.
Dreaded.
That's your jam. We got a hairy chest beefcake Superman for sure. Yeah, what else? What do you want to touch on while they're there?
Well, I don't. It's a very long. It's a multi-layered thing because Superman's thrown in cages with other people that don't know what freedom is like. They are brought up. They had been brought up so far to worship Mongol. So Superman has to use different tactics since he's depowered than usual to try to escape and free the people. So I don't know how much either one of us wants to give away how he does that, but and it's not enough for him to try and free the people. There's also gosh, how can I explain?
I know. I know.
He has to pass a series of tests to their Midnighter's idea is to kill the red sun reactor at the core of the Earth so that Superman can get his powers back. Superman doesn't want to do that because that would kill an enormous amount of people on the planet because the planet would collapse. So Superman has to come up with another plan. This is nothing but plans getting redone by plans getting redone because there's so much different stuff happening that Superman's and Midnighter both have to keep coming up with different plans on how they're going to further their gains. And Superman, I guess, basically goes on a kind of mystical quest to find something that he needs to take Mongol down. And it's almost Arthurian in it that he kind of needs to find this grail and go through challenges to get to this thing so that he doesn't have to destroy the core of the planet. Do you think I described that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Something clicked for me as you were talking when you said Arthurian. This is so true. And there are, of course, allusions to this because, like, the table that the Authority uses, like King Arthur's table. But
that's right.
One thing that really hit me as you were talking is there's this other thing that happens. It's very minor early on, although I'm sure it stood out for you, which is when they're on their way to War World, they see this one person or one alien that was enslaved and kind of left as a warning, and Superman wants to know his story, and they're kind of all like, why is this relevant? We have no time, etc. And there's like a really powerful line, which I wish I hadn't gone away from the page, that was kind of like, why does he care about this one person? And they're like, I don't know. And basically the character's like, how do they say it? Now I've got to go right back. Here we go. To say, I'd like to know what it's like to have that much care for just one person, because of course the world the Authority come from especially is like pretty out of control. And they're really exerting a lot of control and power to try to, fix things. But he has compassion for everyone. And when you were talking about the Arthurian part, I was recalling that they burn the House of El sigil. And then that sigil, that crest is something that carries through that people see. And there are storytellers throughout the book also that are kind of talking about different prophecies, just like King Arthur was a prophecy. And it really comes full circle where you have this King Arthur, not just the quest piece of it and not just like the tale that exists and the prophecy that exists, but also that it inspires others. And so that's a huge part, and it's something you and I feel like talk about every time we talk about this. Is a lot of Superman books really come down to what Superman inspires in others, and that, without giving away, as we said, don't want to spoil anything, that plays a huge role, that the role of inspiration and of sort of that slow messaging. But as you were talking, I had kind of forgotten that that sort of ties together with the King Arthur bit as well. There's very interesting mash of things going on in this book, storytelling wise.
Yeah. Shout out to Jake who made the thumbnail. Oh, love the thumbnail. I also absolutely loved Warworld. I bought the compendium and I will be buying the
Nice
Omnibus. Thank you for doing that great thumbnail, Jake. He is my intern and he does great work.
Yeah, it was great.
Booster, there are a bunch of elements from this book that are still very important for current outgoing. I think that says a lot about this run because most things are usually dropped within months. Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with DC. I'm going to try and fix that within this year. That's good to know, especially as I said earlier, this introduction of the new race, new to them, new to Earth-0 Superman, this new race of people. I said, I think Philip Kennedy Johnson didn't introduce them for no reason. I think that they are going to be a major part of Action Comics going forward, if he's going to keep writing it.
Yeah, it's really weird because I jumped into this a while back without having read this, and Booster is entirely correct. Yes, there are definitely continued. I was like, "What is this plot?" But again, I'm fine
Rise
as
of
far as
Metallo. Okay, right. I
love this
haven't read
cover,
that
though.
yet.
It's I won't
Oh,
say
you tried to
anything,
read it
but
without reading Warworld?
yes, I did read it, and I was like, "Oh," but now I'm definitely going back after reading this. I think that's going to add
Okay,
things.
so that book happens after Return of Kal-El, I think, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
based on who's appearing at the very beginning of this, I would guess so, yes.
Yeah. What's your opinion on the Fire of Olgren? That's what we were just talking about, right? That's what he's questing after?
Yeah, is that the necropolis?
That's going through the necropolis, World Revolution. That's what he's questing after, right? And there's so many things going on in this.
One question I wanted to ask you, because like without it won't spoil anything, is I wanted to hear your thoughts on the A Tale of Two Titans section where we're following young Clark and then also young Mongol and how they were raised differently. I was curious what you thought about those issues.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh. Is that where
Well, here's actually side by side. So this is like we're following young Clark in a story and then also young Mongol in a story about how they were raised. And it's kind of been dropped in the middle, and at least how it's here, it's sort of dropped in the middle of the
I think it is here too. And well, I love the juxtaposition, and I thought that, first of all, Ma Kent looks very young.
That was interesting, yeah.
Yeah, but she's also I think it always goes back to how Clark was raised to use his powers for good, and it all depends on the goodness of Ma and Pa Kent. And then, Mongol was raised in the upside down where sacrifice is to be weak and helping someone is to be weak. Okay, Booster was a big fan of that annual. Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, I thought it was well written and a great juxtaposition of how they were brought up so completely differently, having very strong power sets. Although I think Mongol, I think Clark was born with his on the Yellow Sun Earth Zero. His came to fruition, and I think Mongol was trained by his mother. Yeah, no, I enjoyed that, but I'm wait, I'm gonna annual. This collects actions, comics. Oh, I wonder if it starts this book off. Okay, it starts the third book off here.
Yeah, it's placed after Warworld Saga issue 7, part 7, in my collected edition.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of this book, Warworld Revolution. It started this one off.
Yeah. The reason that I wanted to know how you felt about it and to bring it up is we've talked about how big the story is, and like if you are a fan of like big space battle-y type stories, like there's something for you. But I also think like this is sort of a rare book that has I would say something for everyone. It has the big action sequence, big space saga stories. It also has these really intimate stories, not just here, but anytime Superman's especially talking to children or someone's being talked to about Superman, children are being talked to about Superman. It's quite intimate as well. Like I was really impressed by that there really was something for everyone. And as Booster, of course, pointed out, like some people love a depowered Superman story, and you definitely get that. But you're also not sacrificing the big battles or space epic nature of things. So I thought that was great. And I did almost cry without giving away how it ends because it's very sweet and people should read it with what the bully kid did at the end. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It took me a second to realize that was the bully kid. Yeah. What he did
for Ma Kent. Yeah.
What he did for Ma Kent. Yeah. Was that kid the same kid? Okay, I can't show this without showing what Jess is talking about. When he hands the soccer ball,
yep,
at the very end, is the bearded long-haired kid the same as the little kid, or is that just a
yeah, I think we're meant to think that that's him grown up, because you also see grown up Clark, and it definitely ties to the story.
Okay,
as we said,
that's what
people,
I thought.
They don't know they see Mongol as a hero. They admire those characteristics. They see it's almost an abusive relationship. They see the harder they're beaten down or engage in battle, like the more valued that they are. Like you get more chains for it's just really messed up. It's very messed up. And that's the thing with Midnighter. He's like, why are we even trying to save these people? They literally don't want to be saved. Like, we have other things that we need to do for people who actually are asking for help. And that's the thing with bullies, is they aren't asking for help. Bullies on a playground are like pushing you down. And we as adults often know those kids are coming from situations where they're seeing that somewhere else, right? And they're enacting that. And that means that they need help, but that's not what their actions aren't suggesting that they do. They're not crying. They're not saying, oh, I really need someone to talk to. They're like acting out, right? And in violence. But that is a cry for help. And it takes like a really strong person to figure out how to offer that help to someone who isn't necessarily needing it or wanting it, but you can see that they do need it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
And so I thought that was really smart to include. Yeah.
That is a great observation.
So I agree. I thought it was a standout I think it could also be sort of read alone as well, if you're just interested in the issue based on how we're talking about it.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm just rereading it. Oh yeah. He has this, I don't know if we can really say that much more about it, but he does. When you mentioned the baby, I just saw the baby in this, which
yes
was twisted in a cool kind of way.
Yeah, I agree.
It's an odd creation that somehow is still powerful, but it is a very kind of Mongol has like a court of, I think, maybe 3 advisors, and I don't even know how to describe the little baby. Um, I- it- it's um, the baby is a part of a whole system. They need each other to work, and the it's just, I mean, there's so much stuff. Oh, this is okay. This is where the Black Racer comes in, because I think that's who gets merged with Leah, Light Ray,
Mm.
right here. She looks like the Black Racer, and I'm going to spoil it because it's only a small spoiler. You'll forget it. Somebody else will forget it by the time they read it, because when they succeed in freeing Leah, you see a little figure. You see black leaving her body, and then a little tiny black figure in the background that zooms away. And I think that Mongol had
Mm.
mushed Black Racer together with, which is why that's in why we get a Black Racer story in Future State, because I looked at it and I said, I think that's Black Racer from New Gods. And
Mm.
I think that's because Leah gets turned into this thing, and it's got a speed. It zips around really fast, creating problems. This is what the Light Ray turns into, this amalgam of Light Ray and Black Racer. And it's not spoken, but I mean, it's not said, but here's Leah in action. Run, if you can see the action swishy lines, that means she's running around. It's not said, but I think that's how they captured her, by smushing Black Racer's uh,
Mm.
essence into Leah. And so I thought that was really cool when I saw that Leah, when they separated them, that it looked like Black Racer. Did you pick up on that, or am I?
Not at all. No, but I'm sure you're right.
I'm trying to find that so I can, since I'm the one that brought it up. It's when Leah.
Oh, Booster says, "Yep, Black Racer."
Okay. Good. I'm glad I picked up on that. It's right when they separate. They pull Light Ray apart, and also Apollo also tears his
Yeah.
tears his thing that was controlling him off. Okay, this is Superman going for the fire of Olgren, doody doody doo, which is a whole cool thing. I'm not okay. I'm okay. Maybe Leah doesn't get separated until later. Oh, wait. Here it is. Okay, here it is. Here's the part. Let me highlight myself. This is a small spoiler, but it's okay. This is when she's exposed to the fire that powers everything up, and you see that black essence leaving her. And
Yeah.
then you see in the background. Wait, am I showing you right? No, here it is. You see the essence right there
Yeah.
with the skis. That's what Black Racer has, and then he goes racing off with the ski poles. Sorry, not skis, ski poles. So that's how she was merged together, and that's Black Racer buzzing off. Just that one spoil. Just
There's
that one
about 80
spoil.
plots in here, so
Yeah,
you're good.
we couldn't possibly spoil this for you, Bug. There's so much going on in it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we don't want to give away the ending. I'm
No,
trying to
and
think.
already Bunk's the peasants are revolting, as the saying goes. Bunk is yelling at me that he doesn't want to stay around.
Shall we
Booster
say?
says, which is a cool tie-in because she shares her name with New God Lightray, and Olgrin is an old god. Yeah, I just felt like it was important because Jess hadn't seen it, so I wanted to make sure she had seen it. And now you know, but you'll forget by the time you get to it, Bunk. So don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm really not exaggerating when I say I could read this 2 more times and I still would not have everything down, and I'm actually, like, pretty excited now that I know about the OmniCat.
Yeah,
It's something I definitely wanna have, and I can imagine I'll like it even more reading it again, but also reading it a little bit more completely, as well. What were your Are there any overall things that you wanted to say about it that you didn't get a chance to as we were chatting through the plot?
Um, no, I don't think it's a book you can just breeze through. You need to
No.
take your time with it because there are so many subplots and there are a lot of characters. They're not there for no reason though. I felt like they all the characters and the subplots all fed into uh, all fed in to make a cohesive proper ending to the story. So, I mean, and I think that's probably what we really want in it. Okay, I don't want to say we. That's what I like in a comic book. Is I like it when several different things move together to
Mhm.
form a cohesive end. I don't, I don't like it when some subplot is there just to be abandoned.
Mm.
I'd much rather have, and everything had a purpose in this book. Even a minor character ended up playing a major role at the end. The storyteller,
Mhm.
I thought I didn't know how important he was until the very end,
Mhm.
and uh, I lost my train of thought. I just looked at the chat. So it's a book that I think exactly that you can read now. You can read it on the app, or you could read it um, like we did physically.
Mhm.
And then you'll enjoy it even more when the Omni comes out if it's mapped properly, which I'm assuming it will be. Um, it, it's a story that if you follow it carefully, it will be rewarding.
Mm.
I I give this an 8.5 out of 10.
Wow. Our scores are exactly the same because I do out of 5, and I think it's a 4.25 for me right now. My only complaint about this book, truly, and I need people to know, I actually don't like a big battle book, and so I was a little nervous about it. But I that didn't bother me at all. I thought it was so well paced, and I thought there were enough smaller scenes and smaller stories for me to stay invested. So if you're hesitant at all to pick it up for that reason, you're not a big fan of the big spacey battles. There's something in here for you, for sure. But my only complaint, I guess, or something I think would have really made it a 5 is a better way of putting it because I really liked it a lot, is I wish the authority characters got some more solo scenes. Like Midnighter and Apollo definitely did. Well, Midnighter definitely did. Um, but I would have loved to have seen a few more of them have their solo scenes because I do think Superman and the Authority was so important to set it up and because they helped keep me grounded throughout as the story got bigger and bigger and there were a lot more battles. I would have loved to have seen more solo scenes with them, and then also in lieu of that, or in addition to that, maybe something like a condensed version of Superman and the Authority as like an epilogue of those characters at the end. You see a few of them, of course, have little moments at the end that tie their stories up, but I did feel like they could have done a bit more, considering that's like the group we're following, and they spent a whole book setting them all up. That to me, if I had those elements present, this would be a 5 out of 5. It's really only a 4.25 for me because as a story, I lacked that part of it. But as a Superman book, it like if that could be a score on its own, it's pretty much a perfect Superman book to me as far as the character and the supporting cast and things like that. You know what I'm does that make sense? That differentiation?
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
because Well, I think we already said that earlier in the show, so it's not a spoiler. Several of the authority figures get taken off the board almost immediately when they
Yeah.
get there, and there are really only two that shine through, that have their own have their own story, have their own appearances throughout it. So maybe that's what I thought it was missing too, that it could have been a little bit richer had we seen more of the authority able to interact besides
Yeah.
at the very end.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think I wouldn't hesitate to pick it up if you're a fan of Superman or you just like big space epics, and are a DC fan. I would definitely pick it up.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So there we go. That is our Action Comics War World Saga review.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Next summer, we'll say when we reread it, it'll be 5 out of 5. Maybe we'll see.
Do you think he's going to put in added material, or do you think it's going to read
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, we'll see.
Let me see here for a sec. I do want to wait. Here's oh, there's all these pictures I want to show of Bob's kitten.
Do it in lieu of an OmniCat, actual cats.
Yeah. Oh, she has tiny teeth now. Bob, are you still in the chat? Oh, they took a. Wow, this is like complete. Oh, it's so cute. Let's see if I can. Okay, wait, I'm getting distracted. I'll say this. I thought it was a fantastic discussion. Thank you. You've convinced me to give it a read. I think you dig it,
Good.
Ilan.
Oh yeah, I think so.
I will say that I did pull a stack of what I have also been reading in case we wanted to. I have something that I don't know if you've read, but speaking of Arthurian legends,
Oh, I
Once in
haven't read this,
Future?
but I want to. Yeah,
it's-
it's on
I've
my
been-
list.
I've been waiting for book 2 for a year now.
Mhm.
I found out that it was coming out this month, and I loved volume 1 so much that I just couldn't wait. Well, I had to wait, but I just was so excited to see where. Okay, okay, cool. I'm going to do an overview and review of these books. They're 2, and they're oversized. And if you think Dan Mora is a good artist in just Klaus and World's Finest, he somehow levels up in this book. He is drawing humans and monsters and skeletal remnant kings. That is just okay. Wait, is this book 1 or 2? 1 or 2? Okay, book 1. His art is just incredible, and the fact that he's able to churn it out as he does, I think, is really amazing. And it's so lush, and the colors are so beautiful in this, and the lettering is so beautiful. I'm starting to really pick up more and more on lettering, and the lettering in this book is just exquisite. The story is that a group of people are trying to resurrect the true King Arthur in England. But with that, it's all pulled from stories. This is where a book where stories have power, because all of these characters are pulled from stories. So this the grandson of this woman in an old folks home, she has raised her grandson. She's really a total kick-ass fighter who has a cache of weapons set aside for this exact occurrence when because she's been monster hunting in previous to the grandson's birth. So when they're trying to resurrect King Arthur, there's like a questing beast that shows up that they have to kill, and I don't want to spoil it too much with who shows up in it, but the idea is that the first King Arthur that is resurrected, he's basically a skeleton, and I can show pictures of that without spoiling it because this is what he looks like. He wants, and I think it's not necessarily an overt political comment, but the fact that Nazi skinheads, I shouldn't have said that. YouTube doesn't like that word. Skinheads, Aryan skinheads are part of the group that initially tried to get King Arthur raised, because this King Arthur wants to create a world of only Anglicans, no Anglo-Saxons, because that's mixed blood. And the grandmother and grandson, and then the grandson's date, who happens to be, there's a lot of you need to at least be know your sort of old English tales of like King Arthur and stuff. You can just know the basics of some of the old English tales, but she's there to prevent that, because first of all, if you're of mixed blood or you aren't Anglo, you won't survive the reign of this resurrected King Arthur, because he wants only pure blood. That's the last of the sort of little political tie-in there. The grandson's girlfriend is, I believe, Pakistani. They don't say that, but at one point she says it's not easy being a brown-skinned girl being raised in an all-white neighborhood. And they, I don't know. I can't. Kieran Gillen and Dan Moore work so well together. Although I guess everybody works well with Dan Moore. He's just such a great artist. And there's the pistol packing granny who has a bazooka at several points. And the sword in the stone is there. Yeah, you'll be okay, because it gets. Yeah, you'll be fine. Everybody knows about King Arthur. I mean, you don't. You heard Alon can pull it out. Well, as a matter of fact, that's an interesting point, because there end up being competing legends that grow to life, and there's a strong Welsh component. There's an afterword that's written that about Welsh. Oh yeah, the color is amazing. Tamara Bonvillain is amazing. Okay, good. Kane agrees. Yes, yay.
Nice.
It deals with search for the Holy Grail. Lancelot's in it. Guinevere is in it. Not necessarily working with King Arthur, because we know what happened between Lancelot and Guinevere. And if you don't, Wikipedia it. Yeah, dude, the whole thing is a lot. Brings there's a lot of Welsh components to King Arthur. Yeah, maybe you and I could talk about that sometime, Elon. But there are other. The girlfriend is a historian and knows the ancient tales. The boyfriend, the grandson, is more of a modern literature professor type, but so the girlfriend helps with deciphering some of the older stuff, and the grandson helps when some of the modern stuff comes into play near the end of the book. The girlfriend this is sort of sorcery in itself. She's able to throw these pins on a map, and it shows where the next occurrence is going to be, where the pistol packing granny and the grandson need to go. her name is Rose. I think she's Pakistani. That's just my guess. But other legends come to life. Some are good. Most are bad. There are competing factions that are Arthurian. They Shakespeare's involved. Shakespeare's writing is involved. Some of Shakespeare's characters are involved, and it shows the growth of the grandson, because the grandson goes from naive kind of dork. He's a grown man. I guess he's 25, but he's been sheltered his whole life. And within about 3 issues, he becomes this hardcore monster hunter with his grandmother.
That's cool.
Like this, she doesn't take any abuse from anybody. She just brings it. And it is, I was hoping that book 2 would be as good as book 1. And it was. It is just so exciting and so riveting, and they have to go through so much. The government gets involved to a certain extent. There are good elements in the British government and bad elements that get involved. The way they channel, the way they access the way they access the legends themselves, how they get to like the castle with the Holy Grail, the grandson and the grandmother. It's all done so perfectly and so well. I mean, Kieran Gillen just must have done a ton of research on this. I didn't know some of this competing Arthurian legend stuff, but I learned about it through the book, and it's very important. It's a very important component of it, because the way it was explained in the afterward was that King Arthur is a story that's been added to and added to throughout the years, and so these are the kind of the competing King Arthurs who start popping up at a certain point in the book. Yeah, his name's
That's
Duncan,
cool.
the grandson. Duncan becomes an absolute beast. Yeah, he does. Love this series. Actually inspired me to read Once and Future King, the classic book by T.H. White. And that is something
Nice.
that Duncan helps with. Yeah, Brown Mist, I think you'd dig it a lot. It's really good. And the art and colors and lettering are fantastic. And how Boom can put this out for $60 and then, discounted, you get it for like probably at least 30% off at places, and how DC and Marvel can't pull that off is just, and same with Dark Horse. Dark Horse puts out these honking, and same with Image. They put out these honking, really well constructed books for not that much money compared to some of these other things.
Yeah.
So I need to go over it again and kind of digest it before I can do a proper review on it, because I realize talking to you right now, I don't know if I really gave you a good flavor.
No, I felt. Well, I mean, I was already interested in reading it, but yeah, I'm just more interested in reading it now.
Yeah, I think that it's a fantastical story with historical components. And relationships grow and people grow, and they are it's just really well done. One second. Upper management has contacted me. Okay, yes. Upper management had trouble sleeping last night, so she's asking me to go up and get the groceries. So we may be going on a journey to go pull the groceries in.
That sounds good. You can answer some of Bar's questions as you do that, I guess.
Oh, they're not coming for 20 minutes. So, okay.
Oh,
Is it
okay.
weird to say? No, Bar, it's not weird to say that I've read the entire first book in one sitting, yet I still didn't like it as much as I thought I would. I felt let down with all the hype. Oh, see, I don't know whether to pick up the second one or not. I understand. This is why I stay off of social media, because this happened to Lou from Omnibros with the show Wednesday on Netflix. he got exposed to a bunch of hype and the show let him down, whereas I got exposed to no hype and I loved the show. I didn't know anything about Once and Future except that I knew Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora did good work together. Wait, I don't know if they've worked together before. I knew I liked them both equally. Bar, if people hyped it up too much, I can understand how you might feel let down. I'm sorry about that. I found it to be an exciting, awesome adventure that I think everybody could love. Just knowing the basics of King Arthur, and people. Okay, I love the first hardcover and did enjoy the second half as much. Okay. You would enjoy this, Jessica, as has a little bit of everything, a great epic story and adventure. And Kane says, I agree with Alon. So different opinions in the chat. Some people loved it, some people didn't. I got my candidate for top 10 of the year with book 2.
Whoa, bold. I'll definitely check it out. I always see it at the library and I'm like, yeah, I'm interested.
That'd be a good library poll for you.
Yeah. I mean, I like the concept of it a ton. There's prose books that I like that play a lot with Arthurian legends. And then there are also, I like fable, like I like that sort of thing. So I think it'll be
I think this is something you dig. It's good that you haven't heard any of the hype except from me right now.
Not since it came out. It came out so long ago. It should have died down, I think. Bar, maybe give it a go. Maybe the hype's died down enough.
Just so Jessica might comment to her, please. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. I did read Gwen and Art Are Not in Love, and I definitely enjoyed it. And I saw, Bar, on Goodreads that you started Not for the Faint of Heart, and then I got so excited only to see, in fact, it has not come out in the US yet. So you're lucky. I am looking forward to that. Gwen and Art Are Not in Love is an example of a Arthurian legend book. But that's like a YA romance type thing. I'm not sure it's your jam.
Gwen and Art. Okay. Interesting title. Gwen and Art are not in love.
They aren't in love. So Not for the Faint of Heart. I think, Barb, am I right that that's kind of a play off of, is it off Robin Hood? I think it's kind of a, I'll look it up, but I definitely will be reading it. It's on my list.
La Rasta loves libraries. I go to mine once a week. My library stinks, so I can't. It has no graphic novels, so I don't even know that it has any good prose novels. I don't know. It's. I had to go to a neighboring county to get my Hoopla account. They don't even have Hoopla. It's funny you just mentioned fables, Jessica. I would recommend Once and Future to those who enjoy fables.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited. I liked the first one. I liked the writing a lot, so I think it'll be a hit.
Ilana has a message for you.
No, there was this appropriate amount of hype. I haven't read much comics other than I just finished. Technically, it was a reread, most of it, but I got the physical collection for Wonder Woman Outlaw, the first of the Tom King run. Yep, I have a different cover, but yes.
Different cover.
And I had read the first 3 digitally as they were coming out and then just kind of got behind. And so I technically reread those and I loved it. But that's really the only comic I think I've read since we last talked. I've been in a slump. I'm reading Lonesome Dove, though.
Oh, gosh, I love that book.
And that's like 850 pages. I'm on like page 550 and I am there. That's another one that was hyped for me, but I'm like loving it. I definitely think it'll be one of my favorite books of all time. I
think I read that back when I was your age. It's an old book.
Yeah, and it's been on my radar. My grandpa read a lot of Westerns, and I remember that was his favorite. Because I think it came out in like 83, 85, something like that. But I was like, not any part of me over the last 5 years was like, let me read an 800-page Western written in the 80s. But I started reading a few, and so then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll read this. Yeah.
Where are they in the book?
Without spoiling anything,
Just like physically.
Oh, I can't remember what state we're in right now, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think of a plot point that's like not
Oh
spoiler.
yeah.
They just got the cook, a new cook. There was one of the characters was captured recently, and she and the person who helped rescue her just got back. So that's kind of where we're at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
I
see
don't
if I
want to
can
give it
pull.
away though.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that villain's name.
Oh, the villain is
Wait! Don't tell
okay.
me. I
Well,
think it's Blue. It's not. It's not. It. What is that? Oh, I can just see. I can the
it's a
movie. The television movie was great too. It was a
do you want a
very faithful
clue?
adaptation. What's his name?
Do you want a clue? It's a bird, a kind of bird, blue.
I was going to say Blue Dove, but it's what is it?
Close, blue duck.
Blue Duck. Yeah, he's vile. He is a vile guy.
So that's where we're at. I was hoping I'd finish this weekend, but I think it's more likely that I'll finish this coming week. But I just got to give this Larry McMurtry some praise, because I also was a bit nervous going into the book about because it takes place maybe like 10 years after the Civil War, not too long after the Civil War.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's written in the 80s by a white man. And I was like, and I knew there were female characters. I knew there were like indigenous characters. I knew there were black characters. And I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. And
Oh, interesting.
he
Yeah.
strikes a really good tone where it does feel realistic. For example, some of the, well, I don't know if I can say that without getting demonetized. The occupation of some of the women is that of
Oh,
a woman of the night. I'll say that. I'll say it like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll get demonetized
Right.
for you. And so I was like, yikes, this could go really poorly. But I will say he does a great job feeling realistic without going overboard. And he really does a good job, even with that villain you mentioned, of giving each of the characters agency, and you can see their perspective from things.
Hmm.
And I think that was just really impressive for the time, and also the time period he's writing from, like, about. So I got to give the man props. I mean, I still have 300 pages left, but I've just been really impressed by that, because I was a bit nervous. It's when I started getting into westerns, the first one that I read was like a woman writing about another woman as the main character, and the book was written in the 2020s, so that was like I was like felt a bit safe about how things would be handled, and I've been a bit picky about what I'm reading, but he's just done a really great job. I'm just very impressed. I think he's passed, but props,
He was. It's funny
posthumously.
you say that guy, this guy, Larry
This guy
McMurtry,
Larry McMurtry.
because he was a huge writer
I
in the
know.
80s and 90s. I
I
mean,
saw
just
he wrote
Stephen
Terms of
King level.
Endearment. I didn't know that. That's
Sorry?
he
Oh,
wrote
yeah.
Terms of Endearment, and
Yeah.
also I have seen The Last Picture Show, and now I definitely will be reading it, because the writing in this book is the standout. I mean, his characterizations are truly like I think unmatched, to be frank. Like, you just care about these people within 70 pages. You suddenly care about like 12 different characters. It's just like
Yeah.
it's really remarkable. The only other author I think that's come close to that for me, just in the characterization part, is Frederick Backman, who's a current writer. I think is he Swedish? I can't remember. I'm gonna get that wrong, but someone might know in the chat.
You're talking to the non-prose guy at this point, but I used to read a lot and nothing but prose. And so Lonesome
Yeah,
Dove, I read, I think 1987, 88.
yeah. They both have a good knack for having these characters that feel so real in such a short amount of time. So, just me gushing about Lonesome Dove. That's
Well, and once you're done with the book, I don't know where the TV miniseries is, but it's a very true adaptation with a huge star-studded cast. Tommy Lee
okay.
Jones, Robert Duvall, a young Diane Lane. I don't know why I said young. They're all younger back then, but I mean, Diane Lane. That's the first time I think I had ever seen her. Whereas I knew
Oh,
Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones. It's an
yeah.
all-star. Angelica Houston. It's an all-star cast and was done really well. And I'm not going to say where it happens.
Mm,
The same part in the book that made me sob
mm,
was the same part in the movie that made me sob.
okay. Yeah, I'm preparing emotionally. We have lost some people on our journey, but so far nothing has totally taken me out. So I know it's coming though.
Um, I don't disagree with this. This book I found to be compelling and amazing. I I'm having Peter M and I have a show on Tuesday night with Freddie this coming Tuesday night, and
Mm.
Peter is an avowed Tom King disliker. I don't like to use
Oh,
the word HATE, but he dislikes him, and he ripped this book apart saying, "Oh, it tore down all of Wonder Woman's legacies." This was just in the chat as he was on
wow.
the last show I was on with him, and I didn't say to him, but I want to say to him, Peter, it's a comic book. The next writer is going to just change the whole thing again, and it'll be a completely different book.
So
But
true.
but I, I found this book to be compelling and remarkable. As a matter of fact, I read ahead, which I don't usually do because I couldn't wait for the next trade to come out. I read
Mm.
as far as I could on the DC app because I wanted to know what was going on. And this has 1 through 6 and Wonder Woman 800. So 7 issues. I read at least another 7 issues ahead. And it doesn't slow down a bit. I thought it brought
Yeah.
a lot to what's the word I'm trying to think of? It brought a lot to the mm, not the myth, but yeah, it sort of brought a lot to the myth of um, the what the United States kind of has built itself
Mm.
upon. And
Mm-hmm.
so it sort of deconstructs that, and which I think you've probably already been exposed to if you've read the first 3 issues or so. But
Oh
I
no, I've
found
read through 7 as well.
oh,
About
oh,
7.
okay.
Yeah, I
Oh,
read the
okay.
first 3 as they came out, and then I waited and got the book physically, and then I also have kept reading. I think we're up to 8 or 9 though, aren't we, on the maybe
Oh, I
we have
thought we
more
were
available on the app.
oh, okay. I'm thinking of something else that I read forward on. I must have only been able to read the next 3 issues. I was thinking I something else that I read forward on, but I thought
Oh.
the deconstruction of the myth of what the country's built on, and then Diana. I thought Diana was a very strong
Mhm.
female protagonist, which I love. Yet she still has time to, have those more human moments with that uh, sick little kid, while the United
Mm.
States has declared war on her, and she takes time to go spend a whole issue with a kid that's sick with cancer, and that's sort of uh, I don't know. I really liked that. It Even though she's not human, it sort of humanized her, but she didn't lose any strength. It made her stronger, in my opinion. That issue where she takes the time to be with this little kid. So
Mm.
I I found this book to be remarkable. I I don't understand the dislike for King because I like him so much. Not everything is hit with me, but I
Mhm.
also just don't blanket write him off like people have. I don't. I understand opinions are different for
Of
everybody,
course.
but I don't see what those other people are seeing in his writing.
Yeah.
I really like his writing, so I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. Really quickly, through on mine, if you have Ultra of the DC Infinite app,
I
through
do.
11 is available.
Oh,
And
through
then
11. Okay.
I guess if you don't, it looks like through 5 is available. But yeah, to just respond to what you were saying, I am a Tom King fan, so I'm not going into it negative. I mean, I'm not to say everything in the world has been fantastic by him, but to be honest with you, most of it I think is way above average. And that is his Marvel, that includes like Vision as well. Like it's not just DC. Um, and I I was excited with like a tinge of nervousness because in my opinion, Wonder Woman is one of the most mishandled characters probably
Good
as far as
point.
like especially as high profile as she is. So I had a lot of hope in general with him coming on, and I think it's a really bold book. And I knew from interviews before it started coming out, he was really going to swing for the fences. And I mean, what Woman of Tomorrow, right, was like what had just come out previously, and he really swung for the fences with that.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's a hit. And you mentioned like sort of a deconstruction of some of the what the US is built on, again, without spoiling it for anybody. I think there's honestly not many writers in comics today better suited to tackle that than Tom King, based on his
Yeah.
experience, even where
Mhm.
he currently lives in DC as well, and is like so attuned to history and politics, and particularly the militarization piece of things, which does play a role obviously in this
Right.
story. So I think he created a story that played to his strengths, and I know how much research he did for this book based on interviews, and I'm always impressed with his intentionality. And to me, I agree. I think it's one of the best books that DC has put out this year. Absolutely. I totally agree.
We, as usual,
Pretty much
vibe. We
simpatico.
vibe. You and I vibe. It doesn't just start with our names.
No.
Jess, I think you might enjoy Lucky Red by Claudia Cravens. It's a Western. Is that a...
That's to you, I think, because I recommended that book and James read it. James not only
This is
read
a
that
book
book on
book?
my recommendation, it's prose, but he sent me his thoughts.
I don't have the time. I wish I had the time. I love prose books, but as soon as I started this Fakakta channel, I didn't have any
I
time to
know.
do anything but read comics.
That one is shorter. I think it's only like 300 pages. It's not very long. But yeah, I get it.
This is a funny comment from Bar.
I've only read through 7, so now I'll read 8 and 9 tonight for
I
sure.
don't
just for
think
you.
I've gotten to 9 yet then. Let's see. Yeah, well, you'd love the TV show, I think, Larasa. It's a really good TV show. We have an update on Elon's tea drinking. He's up on to his 3rd cup.
Whoa.
He must be getting the jitters. They are pint-sized mugs. A pint. You've had 3 pints of
Wow.
tea?
Are they 100-year-old pint glasses as well?
Here's Noir Wolf. Love Larry McMurtry and Lonesome Dove is probably my favorite prose book. Noir Wolf. Nice. Wonder Woman 11 is out now, but 11/12 is part of Absolute Power crossover, which I'm not going to read until it all gets collected 2 years from now. I still haven't read Dawn of DC. That's what I'm trying to get caught up to. Yeah, Booster and I vibe on King too. I want to read Love Everlasting or Everlasting Love. I have that. I have a whole stack of King stuff that I just want to read of his. But I have Penguin, and I think maybe Booster told me I need to read Batman Catwoman before I read Penguin. So I need that.
I need to reread the Batman Catwoman one. I thought I
Oh,
had it
you both
physical.
need to check out King's Love Everlasting from Image. Okay, I have it, and I'm sure it's on Hoopla for Jessica if she doesn't have it.
Well, I don't have Hoopla, but I have gotten it from the library. My library doesn't have Hoopla. They hate me. But they do have a lot of good comics. It took me a while to get into, but I do think it's very good. It's very creative and very meta, but it did take me a bit to get into.
Wait, which book are we talking about?
Love Everlasting.
Oh, okay. So you have read it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Yes.
Penguin I can read whenever? Huh. Okay, I thought somebody told me I needed to read Batman Catwoman first. Maybe read Dawn of DC stuff before Penguin. Okay, well, I still haven't read freaking Batman and Catwoman. Ugh. And I actually haven't read the other Tom King Batman book. Not his long Batman run. But there's another Batman book he wrote, but I can't think of it. No, I'm taking a break on Krakoa. I'm going to pick it up. I think I'm going to give myself till like the end of September to take a break, and then I'll go back to Krakoa to finish it out, whatever I have. I've been reading Krakoa forever. So as much as I love it, I had to take a break to read a bunch of other stuff, AS, like Once and Future, and I'd like to get caught up on Batman and Superman, at least. World's Finest, Titans by Mark Waid, Teen Titans rather, whatever it's called. There's a bunch of DC books that I need to get caught up on. Killing Time. That's what I misspoke. Killing Time I need to read before the Penguin book. Thank you, Booster. I really want to check out King's Batman run. I've heard a lot of hate for it, but my LCS owner loves it, and I value his opinion a lot. I value your LCS owner's opinion too, because I loved it.
Yeah.
Did you also liked it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing I was annoyed by one aspect of it that the internet was annoyed at, that apparently was an editorial decision. That's the only thing I was
marketing of a certain issue.
Yeah,
that brought a bunch of hate down on it. We can say what it was. Everybody knows it. It was the marketing of the wedding issue, which if it hadn't had all that pomp and circumstance, would have completely fit in with the book. As that issue 50 of 88 issues. To me, it fits with how things were going. But DC marketed it.
Sorry, I just saw Max's comment.
This is what is making Jessica laugh.
Hashtag stay holy.
Hashtag stay holy. If only you knew Jessica's background and her whole family, you'd know how appropriate that hashtag is.
Oh boy, that's funny. I think every book gets hate for sure, 100%. That got an
inordinate amount of hate.
Yeah, the marketing was frustrating with that. I think it's a really good run. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. Snyder's run was so that's a good stretch of Batman, and I'm not even like a Batman girl necessarily, but that's a remarkable stretch.
Deluxe editions 3 and 4 are probably two of my favorite Batman. Are all two of my favorite Batman stories in them, which is why I know there eventually will be 2 Omnis that come out for his run, but I'm going to keep my deluxes. That the double date they go on, that's easily one of my favorite stories.
Same. Yeah, I feel the same.
And I also love the aftermath of the War of Jokes and Riddles, where Poison Ivy's kind of broken and they need to bring in Harley to take care of her and bring her back. I just thought that was just really well done with how they had Poison Ivy have that, how he had Poison Ivy have that breakdown, and what she had to resort to, and then what they had to resort to get her back to normal. I don't know. I don't understand why people have to be so visceral in their hate for stuff, but I just enjoy what I enjoy, and I'm not going to apologize for enjoying Tom King's stuff. I dig it.
Me too.
Just keep an eye on hauls in your Discord. I have a book coming tomorrow that you will be happy to see. Ooh, speaking of tomorrow, I'm on Very Fine Condition at 2 p.m. For an hour. I'm joining Melanie on the book club, which is Superman Space Age.
Oh, that'll be fun. I'll have to tune in for that.
Yeah, I am a well-known lover of that book. And then Jake and I have a show at 8 o'clock tomorrow on Jake's channel, The Brave and the Boys. I can only do 2 shows in a day where one show's like an hour. I don't have it in me to do 2 3-hour shows anymore. That was young 60-year-old Jess. I'm 5 years older than that now, and I Can't do it. Where are these groceries, man? Well, heck. Never apologize for what you enjoy, except for in court. Apologize away. So I think we will pick our next books. And do we already have a date in mind for the next show?
Yeah, let me look up
I
what
think we do. September 14th. Is that right?
I'm checking. Yes. And
Okay.
I will have gone to the Superman Museum for the second time.
Oh,
When I see you next time, yeah.
Lucky Ducky. I've never been there.
I'm pretty pumped, and I'm gonna make Maddie's gonna come as well. Wonder
cool.
Maddie. And I'm gonna make her watch the Supergirl movie because they do have a room that's like the Supergirl movie memorabilia, which I think is one of the silliest superhero movies ever made. So we'll be watching that soon, and I'm definitely looking forward to her reaction.
I love that you're forcing her to watch it.
But I'll try to bring some pictures and stuff so that people can see like what the setup is in the town. I think it's pretty cool.
Good. Yeah, I definitely want to see it. I've always wanted to go there. That's in Illinois. Is it Illinois? Metropolis, Illinois?
Yeah, it's on the Kentucky border, so it's not too. I mean, it's farther from where I live in the state, but it's not so far west in Illinois. That depending on
How does Kentucky have such a high concentration of comic book nerds? I can't. There's no nerds around here hardly.
There are nerds. You probably you gotta find them. Maybe you gotta start like a little book club.
That leads me to what I'm going to tell you right after this, a book club story. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Definitely appreciate everybody that participated in the chat. We had a lot of fun, and Jessica's a great co-host, so I love having her. Please remember to donate. Go to Kristen and Reed's Red Baby Registry down below in the description box. They need diapers and everything else. They would love to get something from you. It's a good feeling to give to somebody so nice like Kristen and Reed. So please do them a solid and have a great rest of your afternoon, evening, or for Brown Mist. What is it, tomorrow in Australia already? Good. Have a good Sunday. And I will use our theme song to play us out. Peace and love. Thank you for tuning in.
Still one more. Rock and roll! OmniDog! Hey, OmniCat! Now here's the OmniDog and OmniCat show. It's the place to sit if you'd like to know more about the books that they've read. Hey, hey, hey! Kristen likes Lumberjanes and Steven